Okay, so today we've got the option to review for the exam on Thursday. Let me just talk you through the exam. First of all, I have to have a look at it. I can't remember how many questions there are on exam number one. It's usually somewhere around 30 or so on my exams. They are multiple choice, fill in the blank, true, false, and then sometimes there'll be a bonus question that tends to be a short answer. So, you know, not essay stuff. So bear that in mind as you're studying, that for many of the questions, the answer's going to be there, right, in that multiple choice list. So you have to be able to interpret the question, understand what the question is saying, and then hopefully one of those answers will set off a bell for you, okay? I have a review question sheet, and I was thinking that we could go through that if that's how you want to do this. If you have any specific questions before we even look at that you want me to go over, anybody got anything? What have we got? Just got the three of you?
The review sheet sounds like the best idea.
Okay. Okay. And that review sheet is also up on Blackboard, and the answers to the review sheet is up on Blackboard, although I haven't opened that yet. I was going to open that after class. Okay? All right, well, let's start first of all with our major theory. So before we get onto the questions, let's go here first of all. I need to have this on here, that's better. Okay. Oops. All right. Okay. All right, so let's fill in the blanks, right, just to remind ourselves about a triangle. All right. So, Jean, what's the constraint that sits at the top of the triangle?
Can you repeat the question again, Dr.
Sure. What type of constraint, when we're looking at this model, what kind of constraint is on the top, on the point of the triangle?
Thank God for this review.
Yes. Anyone else remember what?
It's individual.
Individual, good, okay. And then we have two subdivisions of that individual. So what's one of the subdivisions?
It would be structural.
Structural, good. Braylon, what's the other one?
Functional.
Well done, good, okay, so individual constraints, and we have structural constraints and functional constraints, right? So we've got structural ones are things like my height, my muscle mass, all right, anything to do with my body, and then my functional ones are the touchy-feely, anything to do with my feelings, my emotions, my attention, my motivation, right, would all fit under the functional side. Okay, let's come down here, and I'm not going to be fussy about which way round you put the constraints on the bottom of the triangle, right? I know on the model in the book they have them in a certain order, but I'm more concerned that we remember what they are and we're thinking about how they're impacting the movement pattern. Okay, so what's one of the constraints that would be at the bottom here?
Task.
Task, very good, okay. And what variables count as task constraints? So we have 3 variables that we would use as task constraints. Just coming back to you.
Like the goal of movement or activity?
Yeah, the goal of the movement, well done. Jean, is this coming back to you yet? What's it?
Not really, I'm trying to find my notes.
What's one of the other ones? The goal.
Rules?
The rules, good. There's one more.
The equipment used?
The equipment. Well done, Graham. Yes, excellent. Okay, so the rules, the goals of the task, not the goal score, remember, the goal of the task and the equipment would all count as task constraints, and I've got plenty of option to manipulate those as the person in charge, right? Okay, so what's the third type of constraint?
Environmental.
Environmental, good. And then under environmental, we typically have 2 types of major variables that we can fit things underneath.
Would those be physical or socio?
There you go, good. There's physical environmental constraints, so is it windy today? What is the temperature today? Right? I always have to deal with gravity if I'm moving on Earth. Okay? And then sociocultural, things like gender, religion, the society that you live in, the family that you live in, okay, would all go under environmental. Well done. Good. Okay, so remember that the circle is there to represent the fact that these 3 types of constraints interact with each other, and what emerges here is the observable movement pattern, right? So emerging from the interaction, this arrow here is observable movement. Okay? All right. Well done.
So Dr. Wall, this would be a form of the fill in the blank type of question on the test?
Might be.
Okay.
I don't remember, to be honest, because I haven't taught this class in a year, but it could well be. And here's the thing, right? Even if it isn't, but it might be, it's understanding this. You have to understand this model, right? Because that's the foundation for everything else that we're doing in class. Okay? All right, let's see if this PDF worked. make that bigger so it's smooth. There we go. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Are you able to make it a little bit bigger?
I will try. Let's see. How's that?
Good.
Okay. All right. So these are the types of questions, right, that would be on the exam. Remember that you've got your video clips at the website, right, to help you look at development and growth and the impact of those on movement skills. So use what you've got at the website there to help you visualize these ideas, okay? All right, so do you want to do this and then we go through the answers? Do you want to just do each question one at a time? How would you like to approach this?
One at a time would probably be good.
One at a time? Okie dokie. All right, so question 1. Which of the following is a component of the definition of development? A, B, C, D, or E? Did you find your notes, Jean?
Yeah, I'll say number 1, I'll go with A.
Okay, A is one of the components, so yes, that's good. Is it the only component?
I'll say D.
Yes, right? Development is related to age, right? But it's not dependent on age. So if we think about our MSU chart, remember that we said that according to the brain research, we should see the most competent stage of the skill by the time the child is 6. But we also said that we often see teenagers and adults performing in stages that are not at the competent end of the continuum, right? So it's related to age because of the expectation, but it's not dictated by age because experience plays such a huge role. Okay? Good. So that answer then would be D. All right. Physical growth and maturation are an example of which type of constraint on Newell's model on our triangle. So we just did this. Kayla.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to think here. Can you repeat the question just one more time? I'm still having a little bit of trouble seeing on the screen on like the actual.
Sure. No, if your Wi-Fi is not very strong, you probably don't have a clear picture. Physical growth and maturation are an example of which type of constraint?
Those would be individual constraints.
They are individual, so when you look at the answers are environmental, structural, functional, or task. So which type of individual constraint would growth and maturation be?
Those would be structural.
Well done, good. So answer B, right? Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Graydon, you're up for the next one. All right. So a constraint
Isn't it A,
limits.
B, and C?
Sorry.
Isn't it A, B, and C?
Yes, well done. A, B, and C. So answer E, right? It can limit, but it can also permit other types of movement. It can discourage. So if I'm really overweight, that's going to discourage leaving the ground in a running pattern, right? If I'm really overweight, it might encourage maybe my throwing pattern, because that's not something where I have to lift myself off the floor, and so maybe I practice throwing more often, right? And it can be therefore positive or negative. Good, well done. See, this isn't that hard. Excellent. All right. So which one of you, anyone can jump in here. Research participants are asked to throw darts to a target to measure accuracy. The participants throw from 3 distances, 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet. The distance of the throw is an example of...
Would this be a task constraint?
I believe so, yes. Well done. Yeah. Because it's the goal of the throw, in my view. Some people might argue it's environmental because we're talking about distance, and distance is in the environment. But no, my personal opinion is it's task. Good, okay. All right. Okay, so before we do chapter 2, let's do another whiteboard bit. So let's look at our really simple information processing model. Okay, so my 3 little boxes. Okay. Can't get any more simple than that, right? Okay. Jean, you want to have a go at what box 1 represents?
And we're on chapter 2, right?
We are on chapter 2, yes.
Would the first one be, let me see here. Brain acts like a computer, and then, or I don't want to say the second one unless somebody else would say it.
So what does box 1 represent? What does the what does the computer have to have, first of all?
Information to take in.
Yeah, good. Okay, we call that the stimulus. All right? So this box is stimulus. Okay? If we were talking in computer language, it would be the input, right? But in our language, we're going to call it the stimulus, so it's what I see, what I hear, what I touch, right? All that information coming through my sensory organs that the brain is receiving. Okay, now, box 2 has a lot of components in it, but we have one term that we could umbrella those under that we would call box 2. Braylon, do you remember what box 2 is?
I don't.
Sorry?
I don't.
You don't? Okay, don't worry. That's why we're doing a review. Anybody else?
I originally had in box 2 takes in information. I don't know another way to say that since we already addressed that in box 1.
Okay, all right. Box 2 is processing. Okay? And what happens, so under box 2 is all the stuff that is going on in the brain once that stimulus has reached the brain. So the first thing that has to happen is the central nervous system has to recognize what the signal is. Okay? So that takes a little bit of time. The more experience I have, the quicker I recognize the stimulus. Okay? The really big bit of box 2 of the processing is the decision making. Now I know what the stimulus is, what the heck am I going to do about it? Right? Multiple choices. And so that decision making is the thing that really slows me down. Right? If I'm a beginner, I've got all these choices, I don't know what to do. Right? So we have to work with beginners, just give them one thing. So all you're going to do is catch this ball. Don't worry about anything else you can do with a ball, we're working on catching. Right? Then after the decision making comes the location of the motor pattern. And then, so that's like opening the filing drawer and pulling the motor pattern out. And then we have to transmit the motor pattern to the muscles. So that's like putting it in the mail. Okay? All of that comes under processing. Alright, so now we've got the motor pattern in the mail to the muscles. What does box 3 do? What's box 3?
Would this be the output of information?
Yeah, right. So in computer language, this would be the output. In our language, this is going to be the movement that we see. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Jean, Graylin, you okay with this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad I seen you.
Excellent. All right, so let's go back to our questions then. All right. So, question 1, the information processing perspective holds that the human brain acts like a calculator, pendulum, video game, or computer.
Would it be the computer?
Computer, good, Graydon, yes. Right? So if we are going to sit under the information processing umbrella of theories, then we take the view that the brain acts like a computer, and that's our kind of foundation build our theories and our ideas on, right? If we sit on the ecological umbrella, we have a slightly different way of thinking about the movement, all right, which we'll get to. Okay. Second question. Kayla, an individual constraint that slows the emergence of a skill is called a...
Something that slows the emergence of a skill would be called, I'm trying to think here. So it falls under individual constraint?
Yes, it would be an individual constraint. So if I'm looking at a child transitioning from walking to running, or a group of children transitioning from walking to running, what's the constraint that is likely to control the point at which they actually run and leave the floor?
That would be a structural constraint, wouldn't it?
It would be, yes. Oh my goodness, what's happening? We're getting loads of echoey feedback stuff. Okay, yes, it would be strength. Excellent. What's that called?
That would be a structural constraint, right?
Yeah, it would be, but we're looking for a specific term. It's a structural constraint that slows the emergence of the skill.
Arrested development?
Good try. It's called a rate limiter.
Okay.
All right? So a rate limiter is an individual constraint when we're looking at early in the lifespan. It's the constraint that is slowing the emergence of the skill. And when we look at the other end of the lifespan, a rate limiter is going to be the individual constraint that deteriorates the first and prevents a movement pattern from continuing. Right? So that could be arthritis, it could be losing strength, right? Someone's able to run, and now they can't run. Might be because they lost strength in their legs, right? Ooh. Ooh. Okay. All right. Question 3. The perception-action approach, which is one of the 2 subdivisions of the ecological umbrella. We've got dynamical systems and perception-action. Right? The perception-action approach uses which of the following terms? A, body scaling and affordance. B, phase shifts and body scaling. C, attractor states and phase shifts. Or D, affordance and attractor states.
I'm going to say body scaling.
And okay, so either answer A or answer B. Good. Body scaling is correct. So is it answer A or answer B?
I'm gonna A.
A, good. Yes, it is A. Remember we talked about affordances, things like how I perceive the environment affords me the opportunity to move in that environment. right? So affordances are the opportunities that an environment provides an individual to move, right? But it's based on my perception, not on reality necessarily, right? Because my perception could be a little bit skewed. Good, well done. Okay. How are we doing for time? We're all right. Is this helping?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Chapter 3. All right, chapter 3 is the biomechanics chapter. All right? So, the acceleration of a person or object is proportional to the force applied to it and inversely proportional to its mass. Which of Newton's 3 laws is that one?
One more time?
Sure. The acceleration of a person or object is proportional to the force applied to it and inversely proportional to its mass.
It's the second law.
Second law, good. Good. It's flipped around in that question. Remember that the law is F equals ma, and therefore A equals F divided by M. Okay. All right, question 2. To improve and optimize movement performance, individuals must find the optimal relationship between blank and blank in a given movement.
Is it force and distance?
Oh, good try. Yeah. Yeah, I would probably accept that. Because I think that that's a fair go at that question. And we did talk about optimizing, distance. If I want to stay on balance, then I have to be careful how much distance, how much length I apply. Speed and accuracy. Right, so we have a speed-accuracy trade-off. Okay? The faster I go, the less accurate I am. The more accurate I'm trying to be, the slower I am. And so in many skills, as with force and distance, in many skills we have to find a balance between speed and accuracy, especially if you look at something like hurdling, for example, right? I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but I've got to leap over these fences that are in the way, right? And if I catch the fence, because I've been going so fast I've lost some accuracy, it ends up slowing me down or maybe even making me tumble over, right? Okay. Question number 3. Inertia refers to an object's motion and is related to the mass of an object. True or false? Inertia refers to an object's motion and is related to the mass of an object. True or false?
Is it true?
It is true. Well done. Why does that say chapter 4 when I specifically changed it to chapter 8 earlier today? All right. Okay, good. So, a key point of this chapter is that blank principles govern all of our movements. A, mechanical, B, biological, C, chemical.
I'm gonna say mechanical.
Well done. Yeah, mechanical principles govern everything that we do, right? Between mechanical principles and gravity, we don't have a lot of choice in the way our skills develop. Okay? So, make a note here, all right? I've got a note here that you want to be looking at base of support, stability, balance, center of gravity. Remember that there are a couple of articles up there to help you with the biomechanics, because I know that's a bit tricky if you haven't taken that class yet. Okay? And I have no idea why this says Chapter 4 when it should be Chapter 8. That's very annoying. I spent time this morning over breakfast sorting this out. Okay. Oh well. Okay, so Chapter 8, guys, not Chapter 4. So we're looking at growth and development, initially prenatal and then postnatal. All right? So, regarding the prenatal period and development, which of the following statements is true? A, genetic factors do not influence development. B, extrinsic factors do not influence development. C, genetic factors and extrinsic factors individually influence and interact to influence development. B, the prenatal period occurs from birth to 4 weeks.
I'm gonna go with C.
C, good, yes, absolutely.
I don't want that.
Absolutely, right? So the genetic inherited material that you get from mom and dad drives the initial growth of the cells, the splitting of the cells, the migration of the cells, but those extrinsic factors coming via mum, right? So her diet, pollution, you know, if she's drinking, things like that can impact that growth and development. So good, yes, C is correct. All right. Next page. Okay. So we have the two terms, and I took that off. This is very annoying. Now I'm going to have to go back into the website and make sure that I put the right version of this document up this morning. Okay, so we had two terms with regards to growth. We've got hyperplasia and hypertrophy. So, hyperplasia is an increase in the blank of cells. Which one is which? So one of them is an increase in size, and one of them is an increase in number.
I'll say an increase of number of cells.
Well done, yeah, good. Hyperplasia is an increase in number, right? Hypertrophy is an increase in size. Good. Okay, what are the two laws of direction for motor development? So we said that when we look at growth and development, we have two laws of direction. Don't worry if you can't remember the fancy terms, can you describe them? Aha, stumped you. I win one. Okay, so law number one is Kepler caudal. All right, you don't have to remember that word unless it's easy for you. It means head to feet, right? Top to bottom. We develop from the top down. Okay? Law number two is proximo-distal. Again, you don't have to remember the fancy term, but you've got to remember it's from the midline outwards. Okay? Do you remember that now? Remember when we were looking at the slides of the embryo, we saw all that development in the brain and hardly anything going on with the little paddles of the feet?
That was kind of a hard one.
That was a hard one.
That was a little bit hard.
Can you find those words on your slides? Do you want me to write them down again?
Yeah, can you please write it down for me?
I sure can.
Thank you so much.
I think it's an O. Kepler caudal equals head to feet, or top to bottom. Okay? And then the other one is proximo distal equals midline out to periphery. That might be an A. Periphery? Periphery. No, periphery. Periphery. Okay? And these laws are important when we start looking at the development of skills because they work in conjunction with our biomechanical laws. And so some of what we see occur is because we've got less development out here than we have here. Right? Or we've got more development here than we have here, and that makes us very top-heavy and easy to fall over. All right? Where was I? Was I on page 3 or page 2? Page 3. Okay. All right. The next question, again, I don't know what the heck I did this morning. I apparently hadn't had enough tea and wasn't awake. I wanted answer A off of here. So which type of curve is associated with growth curves that indicate rapid growth after birth, followed by a gradual but steady growth during childhood, and then by rapid growth during adolescence, and finally leveling off. So our S-curve is which type of curve? Is it a distance curve, a velocity curve, or a parabola?
Velocity?
Say that again?
Velocity?
Ooh, it isn't. It isn't. The S-curve is a distance curve. The velocity curve is the one that comes down and has the bumps in it. Okay? That's okay. Just go back to the chapter and have a quick review. Right? And then, again, a note here to remind you to be thinking about teratogens, what their action is, what impacts remember it's, how much I'm exposed to and how long I'm exposed to it will dictate the amount of damage and when, okay, because it depends, if you look at that one chart, depends what piece of the body is developing at that time. Okay? And then again, this should be chapter 9, not chapter 5. So, goodness knows what was going on. Let's pull this down. Okay. So chapter 9, we're looking at specific systems. So we looked at the skeletal system, the muscular system, the nervous system, and the adipose system. Remember, do not spend time studying the endocrine system. All right, we're not going to cover the endocrine system. Okay, so blank refers to the area near the ends of long bones where new bone cells are formed and deposited so that bones can grow in length. A, primary ossification centers. B, secondary ossification centers. C, epiphyseal plates. D, B and C. E, A, B, and C.
This one, I'm going to say it would be primary ossification centers, epiphyseal plates.
Okay, that isn't an option.
It's not? Oh, okay. Okay. Then specifically primary.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so
D.
D, yeah, good. D, B and C. So the primary ossification centers are the ones that we see in the fetus, those little dark patches that were on that picture that we had, where the cartilage skeleton starts to lay down bone cells that will make that skeleton firm and hard, right, using calcium and magnesium and phosphorus and all those. Right, so the primary ossification centers we see prenatally. The secondary ossification centers are what we see, but long bones grow from the secondary ossification centers, and the other name for that is the epiphyseal plate. Okay? All right? One of the things you can do with multiple choice, if you're faced with a question and you're not sure of the answer, a good way to tackle that is to cross out the answers it cannot be, right? So this is a good point on this question, right? Given the question, the answer can't be primary and secondary, right? That doesn't make sense. So I can cross out answer E, okay? Because answer E says it's primary and secondary. Okay? So I can cross out answer E, take that off the page. Then I'm looking at new bone cells being deposited so that the bones grow in length. All right? So then it's a question of remembering primary was in the prenatal period, secondary is in the postnatal period. Right? So if that hint gives you that answer, you could cross out A, and now you've only got 3 answers to pick from, which gives you a better, that's 33% chance of getting it right. Don't ever leave them blank. Don't ever leave them blank, right? Even if you're guessing, okay? All right. In young adulthood, the proportion of lean body weight often blank as a result of blank in fat weight. The proportion of lean body weight.
I'm going to say D.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Because we said that typically, doesn't have to happen, but typically what we see in young adulthood is an increase in fat mass. Because we start work, we start a family, becomes harder and harder to stay physically active, right? So we're not saying that our muscle mass goes away, but we're saying that proportionally we put on fat mass and therefore lean body weight goes down and fat mass goes up. Very good. Okay, myelination of axons. Blank the speed and frequency of firing of nerve impulses. So this is connected, if you consider motor nerves, right? I'm sending the signal down the motor nerve to the muscle tissue. Does myelinating the axon decrease or increase the speed and frequency of firing?
Increase?
Increase, yeah, good. Right, it does. Significantly. Up to 150 times faster in some nerves. Right? Okay, last one, I think. Peak weight velocity always follows peak height velocity. True or false?
False.
Actually true.
True.
Yeah. Right? So when we look at individuals going through puberty, they always do this before they do this. Right? So their skeleton gets longer, they get taller, and then they put on muscle mass and fat mass. Okay? All right, and then the last little bit is from the lab notes, but it also relates very strongly to what we're doing in class. All right? So this is just a little review you can do at home. All right? You want to pick 4 skills on the chart, on the MSU chart, and try to, so remember I said when you look at that chart, it looks a little bit overwhelming because there's all these characteristics for every stage, for every skill. Pick 4 of the skills and try to find 1 or 2 words that would help you identify stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Right? So the example here is a hug catch. Right? So for me, my words are non-responsive or straight arms, hug, stage 3 is scoop, stage 4 is hands, and stage 5 is movement. Right? So by using just those words, I can identify someone as a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 catcher. Right? Good. Questions?
Nope.
No? So what I intend to do is open the exam at 6 o'clock on Thursday in the morning and keep it open until 11 o'clock at night. So you can take it at any point during that time that works with your schedule. However, once you have started it, you have to finish it. You can't dip in and out. All right? So make sure when you start that you've got enough time to sit there and get it finished. I don't remember what the time limit on it is. It'll probably be something like 2 minutes a question. Give you a chance to think about it. Okay? I don't have office hours today, but I do have office hours tomorrow afternoon. So, as you're studying, if you're like, I don't remember this, right, and you need me to talk you through it, come and see me in my office hours. Okay?
Do we have 2 tries to take the test?
No, not on an exam. No. It's like it would be if we did it in class. Right? You'd be here with a paper, you do the exam.
As for the videos, we could review to help us on the software that you had us download. What chapters do we need to watch videos from?
The videos are in... Hold on. Why am I trying to remember this when I have the book right here? Hang on. Because they've moved the chapters around in this textbook, so I can't remember them. Okay, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7.
Sounds good.
Yeah, has the movement skills. Chapter 4 has some baby videos. that might help you with some of the information in Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. Just depends what kind of learner you are. And this question sheet and the answer sheet are in Blackboard under assignments, under exam info, right? So you can go back through that if you want to. Also remember that at the end of each chapter there are questions in the book to help you think about the material. Try as best you can not to rote memorize, all right? Because that's bad for several reasons. One, if you're memorizing, not learning, then as soon as you're done with the exam, you're going to forget all this information, right? And I want you to start absorbing this information because it will dramatically change how you teach motor skills, right? The other problem with memorizing is that when you're stressed, i.e. in the exam, your memory center in your brain tends to shut down, right? Gets loads of cortisol flooding into your brain because you're stressed, attaches to the hippocampus, and you can't recall what you've memorized. But if you learn it, you don't have that problem, right? So, I don't know what else to say really about that. Try not to memorize. The other really big problem is the only way you can answer the question is the way you memorize the material, right? You can't apply that material to a question that is asking you to use it to answer the question. Okay? All right. Well, I hope that helped. Well done, you three. I think you've got a big leg up by coming and doing that, hopefully. And yeah, come see me during office hours. Obviously, we don't have class on Thursday. That exam's going to be open all day. Take it when it fits with your schedule, but make sure that you give yourself time to finish it once you've started it. All right?
We have class tomorrow.
Sorry?
We have class tomorrow.
No, because tomorrow is set aside for your exam for lab. And actually, I'm going to leave that exam open probably till Friday. And you do get 2 attempts at that one, because that's slightly different.
Okay, so no class tomorrow or Thursday?
Or Thursday, and then we will have lab on Friday.
Okay, so when will the exam that we're going over now be open? Will it be open Thursday?
Thursday morning, 6 o'clock,
Okay.
until 11 or end of day on Thursday. So it'll be open all day Thursday. And then the lab exam that's over the material that we covered in lab will open tomorrow morning. And I had planned to leave it open until Thursday night, but I forgot that you had the other exam on Thursday. So I'll probably leave it open till Friday night.
Okay, great. And do we have class on Friday?
We've got lab on Friday, I believe. That's my plan. Just quickly, because I put up a new syllabus and I'm just about to put up new guidelines for assignments, and I'm very aware that we're 5 weeks into the semester before you're getting assignments, and so I want to go over them a little bit, just to let you know.
Sounds good.
It's just been difficult to try to work out how to do a hands-on applied class online. It's been a bit challenging for my poor little brain to work that out, so. Okay? If you have questions, if you're like, oh, I don't remember what she said, just put them into the discussion Q&A, because you won't be the only one. All right? And then if you put them into the discussion board, I can answer them and everybody can see the answer.
One of these review sheets also for the lab test, or is this specifically for the lecture?
This is specifically for the lecture. No, not for the lab one. It's because you'll have plenty of time and you've got your notes there. And you've got more than one go at that one.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So you know how to find me if you've got questions. Enjoy the studying, right? Enjoy it. Change that mindset. I'm going to be learning something that will make me a better teacher, a better coach, a better athletic trainer. Right? So turn the kind of talk in your head around and make it something that's enjoyable because you're learning something really useful rather than a pain in the neck and you don't want to do it. Okay? All right, guys. See you Friday. You know where to get me if you need me.